This example of storytelling of a simulation model is meant to present two different populations separately and then interacting to show um, the unexpected behavior of what happens when they are in fact interacting. So that it begins with a defined population of moose, and it talks about the structure of moose and the birth rate and the death rate, and then goes ahead and runs that simulation for a period of 100 years to show that based upon this structure and the relationships, after 100 years you end up with um, I don't know, what is it? 2.23 billion moose, which is probably a bit ridiculous. And then there's a population of wolves, and it talks about the birth rate and the death rate and how that population changes with a set of parameters, and it runs that set of relationships to show that over a period of 100 years the population of wolves essentially dies out. And then what it does is explain the relationship between these two populations in terms of the moose having an influence on the wolf birth rate and the wolves having an influence on the moose death rate, and then going ahead and running that two sets of populations in an interactive method to show that the behavior is pretty much unexpected by most in terms of both populations oscillate back and forth, so that the health of the environment, the two populations together, while it oscillates back and forth, the moose population doesn't grow to a point where it outstrips its food supply, and the wolf population just doesn't just die out normally. So that's what. Oh, and then it gets to a point where it simply says, okay, it allows the person to interact and change the parameters and run the simulation. The What's different about the story for this is that it sets up and initially hides everything. And here's the typical setup to hide the top bar and make sure the sidebar shows, and the message about it. And then it goes ahead and just shows the moose community, shows the message, changes the moose population, runs the simulation, and presents a description of it. But then to do the wolves, it goes ahead and closes all the windows. This is the new command for what was the old API command. It goes ahead and it hides the moose community interactions and makes visible the wolf community interactions, shows the message to explain it, and then the action goes ahead and sets the value of some of the moose parameters so that they don't show up, and then it sets the value for the wolves population, so it does have a value when you run the simulation, and it explains it. Then it changes the visibility so that you see both communities, and then it runs the simulation model again to show you the result of the interaction of the two communities together. So it sets up and it shows you a part of the model, but it zeroes out another part of the model to make sure that when you run the simulation, the curves are all zero for that part of the model. Then it goes ahead, shows you another part of the model, hides the first part and zeroes out its activity, so that when you look at the curves, it only shows a result for that part of the model that you're looking at. Then it goes ahead and makes both parts of the model visible, and it changes the values so that you will see the result of the interaction of the two communities together. So just another example of what you can do with the story in terms of using the functions of the API to pretty much control about anything you want to with the model to present a meaningful story to your audience. So, hope you found this interesting, and I'll see you in another lecture soon. Bye.